You're listening to Let's Get Surety. Let me hear your bonding talk with Kat Shamapande.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for Let's Get Surety. We are recording this podcast episode on March 31st. And we are recording from our home studios. So we're all making it work as we work from home. So if our voices sound a little bit different than they normally would, that's why. Today, as a co-host with me, I've got Mark McCallum, CEO of NASBP.
Hi, Kat. It's always a pleasure to join you.
Thanks, Mark. It's good to have you on with me. And our guest today is Peter Quinn, and he's the Senior VP of Major Markets Contract Surety Team with Crum Forster. Hey, Peter.
Hey, Kat. Good afternoon.
Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Well, it's great to have a guest with us who can really give us this perspective from a surety company and how you're handling the COVID-19 crisis.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, we're navigating through uncharted waters here. You know, the work from home for Crum Forster, we're in our third week now of working from home, and every one of our underwriters and support staff is working from home right now with the surety group at Crum Forster.
Had your underwriters worked from home often before, or is this all new?
Well, from time to time, people have always worked from home. You know, situations come up, and whether what have you, that they work from home from time to time, but not on a full-time basis. Where we're kind of, I won't say banned, but you know, not encouraged to be in the office. Our office in Morristown, New Jersey, we have about 650 people in the office total, and it's down to just a skeleton crew with folks in the mailroom and a couple of the accounting folks there. But from the surety operation and in all our field locations, everybody's working from home.
Wow, that's quite a challenge, Peter. And I'm sure, you still have all the communications you need to get out to the producers with whom you work. And then, of course, the contractors and construction firms that you write. So how are you staying on top of getting those communications out?
Well, I think you hit on communication. That's the key right now from us and from our standpoint. Our group, we have twice weekly, we have group calls with everybody. It's one touch base. We want to make sure everybody's family's okay and they're not being affected with any illness, and they're taking care of their families first and foremost. And then we're striving to communicate with everybody, whether it's John Finney, who's our Chief Underwriting Officer, or myself, talking to everybody in our field operations and our home office staff daily basis, one-on-one conversations with everybody. It's a kind of a unique time where we have the ability now to really dig into our files, right? Everybody's working from home. No one's going out to meetings.
So
every meeting is being done either Zoom, conference call, what have you. So we've got a unique time frame to really dig in and review our files. And it's with our agents, same thing as with our folks, touching base on a daily basis with them, even if it's a 30-second call, first checking on the families, make sure everybody's good. And then, hey, this is uncharted waters, right? It's not a time for us to panic, not time to overreact, but it's our time to be diligent. And we've gone back and said, okay, hey, opportunity to go through your files. Let's look at your accounts. Let's look at the balance sheet composition. Let's look at the status of the banking relationships. Let's review, project delay policy conditions, force majeure clauses, that kind of thing. It's really a time where you have that opportunity where there's no other distractions but to do, to be on top of it. We're having meetings. I had a potential new account meeting today over the phone. New for us, right? It's a little uncomfortable, but it's the way we're going to be. We're going to be like this for the next at least 30 days, right? It's March 31st. Our
right.
state has put April 30th as the next day when possible, where we'd be back out meeting with folks, and that's probably a long shot for us up in the Northeast. But it is what it is. So we're trying to again, communicate as much as we can with our folks. Not time to panic, not time to overreact, but it's really a time for us to be diligent and to really be partners with our agents and the accounts that we write together. When you're partners, it's not time to cut and run. It's not time to panic. It's time to communicate, talk about things, and go through all that kind of thing that we do on a daily basis. Going through job details, going through contracts, reviewing backlogs, seeing where they are profitability, assess trouble jobs. What's in the pipeline? Does it still make sense? We try to analyze each project, determine which ones are still viable, which are going to produce the best return on investment. Any projects might have tight margins. They should be carefully assessed, determine which are worth building, and kind of avoid taking unnecessary risks. So it's kind of a unique time, but it's also a time that we can also get back to basics and really get into the file underwriting side of things.
Right. It sounds like reassurance and perspective are two key words for you. Reassuring not only the folks that are working for you, but your producer team and their clients, and then giving them perspective that they badly need during this crisis. You had touched on that you had a new account meeting. And obviously that was virtual. Was that in the form of a conference call, or was that a video presentation? Can you give us a little bit more detail about that?
Yeah, this one was done on a conference call. We have had some folks that have done Zoom calls where it's a Skype type of meeting, but the one we had today was actually an account in the Southeast where we had our branch. The producer, myself, on the call. And it's a great new opportunity for us. It's just, we really like to go out and visit with new accounts and have face-to-face meetings. And we're going to get there with them. But it was time when, hey, this is how we have to react right now. And it actually worked. It worked just fine. But again, there's nothing like sitting across the table from someone.
Right. So does this at all change your underwriting philosophy? I know obviously use of technology might be a little bit different, but does that mean that you look at things any differently?
No, I mean, I think some of the questions we ask in today's environment might be a little different. Again, we're really, not that we haven't in the past gotten into force majeure clauses and some of the things that are in contracts, but that's some of the things that we're looking at more diligently today. What are some of the clauses in there? Do they include epidemics, disease, pandemic terms, and reviewing things? When jobs get delayed, are there additional time and compensation clauses involved? So those are some things that are different than maybe we always kind of took for granted a little bit, but doing a little bit deeper dive into there. Certainly the banking relationships too. Again, cash flow is key, and doing a heavy cash flow analysis, really assessing that is something we're focused on in this little crisis right now.
Right. So clearly lines of credit and making sure that those still are going to remain in effect are critical. Do you provide do you have an understanding of current banking relationships in terms of who you think are really committed to construction businesses, and do you impart that information to producers and their clients?
Yeah, I think we always have done that, and we'll continue to do that. I think the banking relationships have always, been an important aspect of the underwriter, agent, contractor relationship, and it's just gotten heightened a little bit. I haven't had any situation or heard of any situation where banks are doing any knee-jerk reactions.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. And I think, we've seen some things. I saw a come out from the Navy on how they're looking at contracts. It's very positive. They're looking to work together. I think everybody, in the short term is certainly, working together, and that was good to see. I don't see we're seeing anybody really taking advantage of a situation like this and trying to put it into their favor.
So, what do you think? Is there something more that a producer can do to help you from your underwriting perspective during this time?
Well, I think they're in the producers are in the same, situation that we all are. I think everybody's working from home, right? So you have your phone and you have your contacts and you have your computer. And there's no reason why you're not touching base with everybody and seeing what's going on. We see where construction is still going on out there. It's still an essential part of everything, and we're seeing it move forward. We've seen situations in the Southeast where highway contractors are actually being able to get ahead of the game because there's less people on the road. And so when they've had to work at night before, now they're able to work in the day, and they're being more productive. So we are seeing some silver linings in this whole thing where accounts like that are actually being more productive because there's less people on the roads.
Right. So with folks working from home, getting those bonds out is very critical. We tend to sometimes be an industry that likes our tradition, including ink signatures and embossed corporate seals and things like that. But the new environment seems to be arguing for ways to be a little bit more flexible. Are you thinking on how you can be flexible when it comes to bond execution and distribution?
We are, and we're looking at things like, I'll use an example as digital seals, right? I mean, in the past, you've had to have the hand-printed seal, and we've gone to where we are using a digital seal at times. Now, it's got to be acceptable to the owner,
right?
And I think the NASBP and maybe the SFAA is working along that line with some of these owners to accept things like digital signatures and digital seals and things like that to make things at least, and it may be continue on past this, that those type of things are now being done that maybe weren't being done 30 days ago.
Yeah. Do you look? Oh, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be an ongoing and continuing process for NASBP, for Surety and Fidelity Associates of America. And we're certainly thankful for our members and affiliates' efforts in that regard, and because it's going to take a lot of education on everyone's part.
Yeah. Yeah, as you look down the road, do you think that now that we're adapting to some of these changes kind of in the minute, because we have to, that maybe some of those changes will become more long-term?
I think some of them will stick for sure. I think, it's kind of the way of the world anyway, but I think, being more mobile and being able to do things like a digital signature and a digital seal may be something that's going to continue on. I could see that going on in the foreseeable future.
Kind of shifting gears a little bit, have you encountered any situations right now where there's been work stoppage or suspension in your accounts? And if so, kind of what are you doing, to address those situations?
Again, we have not seen it in our accounts yet. Do I anticipate that we will? I think probably, over the next month, we may see some of that coming our way. But that's where, we've got to have everyone and impose upon our agents and accounts to review the contracts for delay clauses and for shutdowns and what that means. But I think, I really truly believe that the owners and contractors understand what we're dealing with right now, and that there's going to be people working together to get these projects done in a timely manner, but also to be safe and not put people in harm's way. I think that's the biggest thing, is not trying to force something and putting people in a peril.
Really putting people first.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's just really, really important. Everybody we've talked to and will continue to talk to is had that same approach. We're in uncharted waters with some of this stuff. And, this is a huge health risk. And no one, we've taken, at Crum Forster, we've taken, measures to make sure everyone's healthy and maintain, all the disciplines that are out there right now to try to keep everybody to safe. And I think that's the same thing when you talk about projects going. Now, you got essential stuff, right? You have a water main breaks in New York City that has to be fixed. So I think that's going to be the things that are going to be under the most pressure.
Right. Obviously, the industry had gone through a period of strong profits, and then all of a sudden we had this kind of sudden crisis. Given the fact of it arising so quickly, are there any certain concerns with different construction segments in particular that you can foresee?
Well, I think some, entertainment industry, right? I mean, there's certainly going to be a slowdown there and that kind of thing. Hospitality, right? I mean, I think there's going to be a slowdown there. And I think people that are focus a lot of their time and effort on that is going to be affected. And that's going to be kind of remain to be seen how long we're going to be in the spot we're in right now. Is it 30 days out? Is it 60 days out? Are we into the summer before things get really back on track? So that's, that those sectors are certainly ones that I think, we'll have to watch. But again, I mentioned the highway contractors thriving in a situation when there's less people on the road and having more ability to put more crews out there. That's huge. But then we also have, in construction, you have to have inspectors come out and inspect the work. And some people are not wanting to or are having a slowdown. You can't do that working from home. So there's going to be a trade-off.
Yeah, we've heard recently a couple kind of observations where the current environment may be beneficial for construction labor force from the standpoint of those who are being let go in other industries and maybe attracting talent. And on the other hand, labor was somewhat at a premium before the crisis. Kind of what's your view on what may occur?
Yeah, no, I'm concerned about the labor issues. I think, I'm more concerned about, people, a labor shortage than an influx of labor. As you mentioned, there was a shortage to begin with. And I think that's still going to be an issue moving forward, if not more so.
That's so helpful, Peter, to get that perspective. I mean, I think the labor shortage is something everyone's been thinking about too in regards to this.
Yeah, and I think is there going to be layoffs? Is there going to be a slowdown? I think so. Hopefully, it's for a shorter period of time, and things will get back to a new normal or more normal again, as we've known in the past. Quicker, but I think no one's going to do it by sacrificing the health of their employees. I know we're certainly not, and I think that would be a mistake on people's parts if they go ahead and try to get back to work before the country's ready for it.
Yeah, I think the keys I'm hearing from you are really, keep it people focused and be prepared to keep moving as we move down the road, and look for ways to keep doing the same jobs remotely because we're still up and running.
Yep.
And I think, from our standpoint, our Crum Forster, our motto in our surety practice has always been, we don't do business with every agent and broker out there, but the ones we do business with, we want to be really important to them and them really important to us. And in times like this, you show how important you are when you really partner up with them. And again, it's not time to cut and run. It's not time to get in a panic mode, but it's a time to be diligent, focus on your underwriting, and communicate. And I think we'll get through this together as an industry. And it's going to take some time. But again, we're going to. I think I keep saying it, but being diligent is going to be important for all of us.
Well, that's a perfect summary of what needs to occur and keeping that communication and that perspective going. Peter, thanks so much for your thoughts and your insights.
Thanks for joining us
today.
Thank you
guys. I enjoyed my time.
It was great having you. If you guys want more information around resources NASBP is making available, they're on the NASBP website on the COVID response page. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you on the next episode of Let's Get Surety.
You've been listening to Let's Get Surety, brought to you by the National Association of Surety Bond Producers. For more information about the NASBP and its members, visit nasbp.org.